name's Chris, and a little bit about myself. I got involved in a network marketing company a few years back due to the state of California cutting my pay almost $5,000 a month. And being a fire captain and having to go through those pay cuts was really detrimental to the survival of our house and my wife and I as we tried to keep what we already have. But today, because of mentorship and this business, I get to introduce to you a young man who's just been phenomenal in leadership and his teachings. And what he's created in my wife and I is business people who are able to go out and reproduce what he's shown us and done for us. This gentleman's being mentored by 3 billionaires, so I get to get mentorship from a multimillionaire who's being mentored by billionaires. And that's been priceless, and I can't repay that back, what he's doing for us. But what I can do is allow us to show what he does and be able to get out the information that's going to possibly change your life forever, like it did ours. And that's a choice that's up to you. But without further ado, I'd like to bring up Senior Vice President, Circle of Champions member for our organization, multi-millionaire, friends with Donald Trump, Mr. Al Thomas.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for taking time out of your schedule to be here today. I just want to share some basic principles about wealth that was instilled in me years ago by my billionaire mentor, Mr. Kenny Trout. And one day I was traveling with him, and let me kind of give you a background. He's a billionaire. He's in Forbes every year. Matter of fact, here's Forbes right here, the wealthiest people in the United States of America. As you can recognize, Oprah Winfrey, Bill Gates, and also Warren Buffett, so we know they're billionaires. And back here, number 360 is my billionaire mentor, Mr. Kenny Trout, worth $1.2 billion. And one day, and let me describe Mr. Trout. He was born in East St. Louis, and East St. Louis is pretty rough. For those that don't know, it's so rough that the rats got guns. I mean, it's real rough. And one day I'm flying around his private jet, before I got one, and I asked him one day, how is it possible that more people in America are not wealthy? Not say billionaire, but millionaire status, or more than what they have. And he said, Al Thomas, his son, go in the back of the jet, and you know I keep my notepad and yellow pad and pen, and grab one and sit next to him. Let me explain something to you. And I went back to the jet, and I came back, sat next to him, and he started explaining something that made a lot of sense to me that most of us don't understand. Now think about it. There's 2 rules of wealth he gave me. The first rule of wealth he gave me was quit listening to broke people when it comes to money matters. There's common sense, right? Hello? The second rule he gave me was who taught you to think the way you think? Are you getting information from somebody that's substance of wealth, or are you getting somebody who works for a living who's struggling too? You know, a person making 2 or 3 grand a month can't tell you how to get up here. Does that make sense? So why do we do that? And that's what he said to me. So as I grabbed the notepad and pen and sat next to him, this is what he explained to me. I'm going to explain to you on the whiteboard that changed my life forever. Now, when he sat down with him, he says, first of all, son, let me explain something to you. He said, find out what 95% of the people do in America, son, and don't do what they do. If you do what they do, you'll have what they have. And if they don't change, all they're going to have in their pocket will be change. He said, if you want to do that, go ahead and do that. He says, but remember, always do the opposite. He said, if they go left, you go right. You go right, go left. He said, now, if you ever find a 5%er do what we do, and I go, what do you do? He said, I just explained it to you, son. That's what they do. He says, they're good people, they're great people, son, but they W. I said, what's W? He said, son, they work for money. He says, never, ever be caught dead working for money, be a slave to your whole life. You know what I mean? You got that job, you can't stand it, but you got to pay rent, put food on the table. If you're married, if mom ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, but you constantly hate it, but never change it. So my mentor said, look, always do the opposite. He says, Al Thomas, what's the opposite of W? I said, M. He said, wealthy people, son, we make money. We don't work for it. He says, that's for people who want to be broke their whole lives. He said, they're great people. He said, think I'm lying? He said, go to any freeway Monday through Friday, and you'll see them on any highway in America, starting at 5:30, 9:30, going down the highway. At 5 o'clock, they go to the other side of the highway. He said, son, don't ever get caught in that. He says, now, they're good people, son. They're called W-2ers. I said, what's a W-2er? He said, son, they work twice as hard and think they're smart. And I said, wow. He says, you're not that bright. You'd be good as a 1099er. And I said, what's a 1099er? He explained this to me. A 1099er is a man or a woman that gets paid residual-based income, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they don't have to show up anywhere. I said, perfect. He said, the difference between us and them is one word, son. He said, it's called system, S-Y-S-T-E-M. And I said, system? He goes, that's right. He said, system stands for saving yourself time, energy, and money. He said, 95% of the population work for a system, and that's why they'll always be broke, son. He says, 5%ers own systems, like network marketing, and we make money differently than they do. We make money 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I was so dumb, so stupid, so ignorant, if you will. I said, when do you sleep? He go, Al Thomas, it's not about you working. It's about what? Your system working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Let me explain what I'm talking about here. He says, go home, they'll give you two systems. He said, go home to your house, your apartment, no matter where you live, and look at your electric meter. Every light could be off. Those meters are always going. He said, them boys downtown are making money for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can't stop it. He said, you go out there 4 o'clock in the morning, half naked, half drunk. It's still going. He said, think about it. You go on vacation, it's still going. And he looked me dead in the eyeball. He said, when you gonna get one, son? Or you gonna be like these people your whole life and be broke too? He said, let me give you another system. You're driving down the highway listening to music? I said, yes, sir. He goes, how many times did that music artist go to the studio and cut the song? Boop! One time. That's right, one time. And anytime he plays anywhere in the world, that artist get paid a royalty. And I said, wow. He said, think about it. And you know they're not that bright. He says, you see them on MTV. But why they have that lifestyle, living, driving gangster cars and in gangster neighborhoods and gangster cash? He says, it's because how they make their money. It's residual-based income. So when he explained that to me, it made a lot of sense. He goes, let me show what 95% of people do. Here's their system. He said they punch a clock at 8 o'clock, they fight traffic, they get there, they take a break at 12, they go back at 1, they get off at 5, they get paid for 8 hours. My billionaire mentor said, son, how do you get wealthy when you're getting paid 8 hours in a 24-hour world? Are you stupid? And I said, no, sir, I'm like Forrest Gump. I'm just a little slow. See, that made a lot of sense to me. He says, you can't get ahead there. And he said, the funny part about these people here, you start talking about investing some money, let's say $500 in a home-based business, let's just say. He goes, they'll tell you why it won't work. It's amazing. But this $500, that's a lot. I can buy a lot of beer at $500. They'd rather have fun with it than make money with it. Does that make sense? And my billionaire mentor said, Al, they're great people, son, but they're poor. And I said, what do you mean poor? He says, Al, they pass over opportunity regularly. How many opportunities did you pass over because you're broke? I mean, somebody else told you it wasn't going to work. It's a scheme, it's a scam. But who have you been listening to your whole life? You know, I love my parents. They gave me food, shelter, water, love, no money. I look past my parents. Who taught them? Their parents, who had the same thing but no money. Who taught my grandparents? And so on and so on. See how it perpetuates itself? Now, this is the beautiful thing about network marketing, and my mentor shared with me. He said, son, I'll teach you how to get rich. And I said, what does rich stand for? He said, residual income creates happiness. See, you got happiness because every morning I have two options. One is, well, I better go to work. My option, roll over. And allowing network marketing to roll over and enjoy life. My billionaire mentor said, most of these folks over here on this side, son, they're not even happy. They're always mad. I'll take that back. There's only 1 hour daily happy. It's called happy hour. Folks, I'm here to tell you the power of network marketing, the power of numbers don't lie. And the beautiful thing about network marketing, the power we're talking about here, anybody can do it. See, on this side, it's like being in jail. Jail, job, they both start with the letter J. One's a 6x8, the other's an 8x6. One's got a warden, the other got a supervisor. What's the difference? When you get out in the yard, when you get out in an hour. And here's the crazy thing about both these jokers. Once you get released, get it, let go, fired, you have to start all over again about the next one. Does that make any sense to you? Why would you work year after year making somebody else wealthy? Because there's two things you do every day. Make somebody else wealthy, you start making yourself wealthy. If you're going to do it, why not do an hour or two a day around your schedule and get off of this? And that's the power of it.